Easy money. Transfiguration! Manifest! I condemn you! Freeze to the core! Eye for an eye! Shine down! but a momentary distraction. Illusion shattered!
Quietly now.
Do your master's bidding!
Busted. Here comes the catch.
Now you shall perish! There is no escape! Rack and ruin! My will embodied! Eye for an eye!
Easy money. Gotcha.
Rack and ruin! Flood of frost! Transfiguration! Cryo incarnate! I condemn you! My will embodied. Eye for an eye.
Game's up. Time's over.
Torn to oblivion. Illusion shattered. Take your true form. I condemn you. Freeze to the core. Rack and ruin. More speed. Shine down.
Quietly now.
Transfiguration. Do your master's bidding. Eye for an eye.
Gotcha.
There is no escape. I condemn you. My will embodied. Shine down. Rack and ruin.
Adepti treasures have special powers. What about mortal ones? This is what the world considers to be treasure. Transfiguration! There is no escape!
Ooh, you're taking me out? Yep. What is the situation? Take them. I have no need. embodied by ordinance divine. Eye for an eye. Flood of frost. Illusion shattered.
Busted.
Aristocratic etiquette is all just for show. Just smile and nod along. I was forced to learn all of the rules by heart, but even I don't take them that seriously. What do we have here? But a momentary distraction. Take them. I have no need.
There is no escape!
Quietly now.
Transfiguration!
Here comes the catch.
Inazuma shines eternal! Illusion shattered! There is no escape!
But a momentary distraction.
Illusion shatter.
Busted.
Cryo incarnate. Ha! Shine down.
Cha! Gotcha.
Rack and ruin!
Freeze to the core.
Eye for an eye!
Busted.
My will embodied.
I condemn you!
Illusion shatter.
Eye for an eye! What do we have here?
Hoyoverse have revealed the version 4.1 upcoming characters. It is Ryo, Thesly and Nuvolet. The version 4.1 is expected to release on September 27, 2023. And based on some source and info, we have some details about the version 4.1 character banners. According to the version 4.1 Phase 1, we are expecting to get Ryo Thesly banner and Venti rerun. And in the second phase of 4.1, we are expected to get Nuvolet banner and Hu Dao rerun. And we also have some details about the version 4.2 character banners. In the version 4.2 Phase 1, we are expecting to get Beizu and Kamisato Ayato rerun banners. Then in the second phase of 4.2, we are expected to get the Hydro Archon banner and Albedo rerun. If I get any more details or info about version 4.1 or 4.2, then I'll let you guys know as soon as possible, so don't forget to subscribe. So, what do you think? Are you excited for the version 4.1 and 4.2 banners? Let me know on the comments and please like this video.
We get it. Back to school is real. But with our gummies, little ones can settle down. You can keep calm in the chaos and
Damn, what
even
is
tuck
that,
'em in
bro?
without tuckering out. This year, you've got this. It's gummies for the little wins.
Oh, man.
What's up, everybody? This is the Act Man here, and today is the day. That's right. We have finally gotten a long-awaited update on Overwatch 2's PvE mode.
Who's
Now, this
excited?
was the most highly anticipated
Who's hyped?
feature of Overwatch
Who's ready?
2 that unfortunately had to be delayed.
Yeah,
what
yeah.
we saw back in 2019
But it's coming.
blew our balls off. Not only would Overwatch finally be
crazy.
getting some story-driven content, but also a separate progression system and a talent tree for every single
What the
hero. There was
fuck?
so much creativity behind
Oh
some
my
of these new
God.
abilities, like Mei turning into a snowball, or Soldier 76 being able to
move with the
his
heel?
healing field. And on
Wow.
top of this, Blizzard was boasting that they were making hundreds of missions, endless replayability, provided at
Uh-huh.
the top tier level of quality that Blizzard used to
Yep.
be known for.
Yeah,
This was their
I remember
comeback
that.
story. The release of Overwatch 2 was very underwhelming. I called it the laziest sequel ever. But now that Blizzard is done,
And then you know what? I defended it. Again, I can't stop I can't stop talking about the fact that, like, I was so, like, on board with, like, Blizzard wants to delay it. It's okay. It's okay. It's gonna be coming, guys. Just relax. Just stay calm. Everything's gonna be fine, guys. Everything's gonna be okay. No. They're not gonna just, cancel the game. That's not gonna happen.
wiping their ass with the millions of Benjamin Franklin bills they earned from Diablo Immortal microtransactions.
wow. Oh, I
it's
remember that.
finally here. An update on Overwatch 2's PvE mode. Overwatch 2's PvE hero mode is being scrapped.
Ooh.
Our expectations for you were low, but holy fuck.
What happened? Where's the fucking game? Well,
What happened? Where's the fucking game? That's a really good question, isn't it?
there's no game here.
Yeah.
What happened? Did the programmers pass out?
This pretty much confirms to me that the only reason Overwatch 2 was released at all was to change the business model, get rid of loot boxes, add in a shitty battle pass, and sell cosmetics for $20.
Yeah.
Beyond that, I can only imagine. Overwatch 2 launched with 3 new heroes, but they had to take 2 pre-existing heroes out because of new bugs that were introduced.
Yeah, they, whenever the game came out, I heard that Overwatch 2 locked Bastion, and they wouldn't let me play him because they didn't want me to make everybody else quit the game because I was so good with him.
At launch, players noticed that several classic maps had been removed for
No, it's
seemingly
true.
no
That's true,
reason,
yeah.
only to be added back later.
Yeah.
Why was Overwatch 2 not launching with a PvE mode? Why was it taking out pre-existing content?
And remember whenever I was like, guys, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. See, it doesn't matter. Like, it's gonna come out soon. It's just like it's early access, bro. It's gonna be so good, man. It's gonna be so fun.
had no issue. The only thing that made Overwatch 2 worthy of being called Overwatch 2
Yeah.
was the upcoming PvE mode, which
Exactly.
was
Like that's why, like, if they had re-released Overwatch 2, and it was just like we're re-releasing the same game, and it's, well, okay, so it's basically like this. Okay, so it is the same game, but Okay, all right. Let's go ahead and step back for a minute. Like, if they had done that, I probably wouldn't have even played it at all.
Played and is now completely canceled. So what the hell was the point? What was the point in any of this?
We are shifting our plan for Overwatch 2 to enable you to play it sooner. This starts with us decoupling the PvP features of the game from the PvE systems so we can bring you PvP sooner.
God, bro, I probably should go and look at what my reaction to that announcement was. Because I was probably like, oh, dude, thank God. Now we can play the game earlier. That's going to be great.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Why? Why do you want to get the game into my hands sooner? Can you maybe put a better game in my hands at a later date when it's ready? This is what I don't get. Why was there a rush to release the PvP content? You only added 3 new heroes and all the other changes were so minimal. Hell, back in 2022, Aaron Keller said, a few years ago, we made the call to focus our team's development efforts almost entirely on Overwatch 2, and as development of the sequel stretched on, it meant that the live game received less focus.
Yeah.
He explained this meant that the company was no longer delivering on one of its core values to support the game by updating it and delivering content on a regular basis. So they abandoned Overwatch 1 to work on the sequel, something that they regret doing.
Yeah, they abandoned the game to work on the game that they abandoned. It doesn't sound too good when you say it that way, huh?
I mean, obviously, game development is hard and all that, and sometimes there's been a change of plans. But come on, man. What have you guys been working on this entire time? How could you advertise Overwatch 2 and make this mode one of the biggest focal points and then just abandon it? It seems real scummy.
It wasn't one of the biggest focal points. It was the biggest focal point and the main selling point of the game. It's like, for example, if World of Warcraft came out and in Mists of Pandaria, they announce like maybe a week before the expansion comes out, guys, look, oh God, look, all right, making a game is hard. And so whenever the expansion comes out, you're not going to go to Pandaria, okay? Like, you'll still be able to level up to, it's a 90, yeah, sure. But, like, you're not gonna, like, there's not gonna be a new zone. Like, there's not gonna be a Pandaria. Like, there's just gonna be, like, the expansion. But there's no Pandaria.
But the worst part of it is, this shit looked really fun. Everyone had their shit to talk about Overwatch 2 not being a sequel, but everybody was hyped for the PvE. Now, to be fair, they also announced a new roadmap, which is kind of meant to soften the blow.
Right.
So it looks like there's going to be a ton of new content.
Like, this looks like a fucking phone game. Like, I'm gonna be real, this shit looks like a straight up phone game. Overwatch, limited time event, story missions, like, bro, I think that they just completely overshot this. I would come back and play Overwatch for a big PvE update. I would. But, like, I'm not going to come back and buy a battle pass to play a PvE mode that takes 15 minutes or an hour. I'm just not going to do it.
So at the very least, PvE is dying so that PvP can continue to thrive. So let's talk about Overwatch 2 and the continued decline of Blizzard, because some of the reasons why they canceled this mode are quite interesting. Obviously, this is a huge blow, and they say they're still working on hero and story missions, which is, you know, it's going to be something. I don't expect it to be all that great, to be honest. You know, they're working on story content, stuff that people have been asking for since the game came out in like 2016. Yep. There's a guy named Sir Swag who is a pretty credible source, and he talked to an anonymous Blizzard employee about why the mode was canceled.
In what might be the most unsurprising
I don't really put a lot of weight on this kind of stuff. I remember I made a video about like the real reason why Overwatch was canceled. And then somebody that used to work at Blizzard that I trust is like, yeah, it's bullshit. No, it's not what happened. So yeah, I mean,
in the entire world,
it's hard
the very
to say.
first thing he said was that the cancellation was, quote, a 1000% upper management executive issue.
Maybe.
In the words of this employee, the decision to scrap the PvE was very much a decision motivated by Blizzard's profit margins.
You don't say.
I was about to say. Okay.
You don't say. You don't say!
And that the and that the success of Diablo on mobile, reportedly making over $2 million a day, shifted the expectations of the higher-ups at the company to the...
So what we're saying here is that Overwatch Mobile is coming out very soon. It's a hero auto battle or a gacha system.
Suits, Overwatch 2's PvE mode wasn't going to keep
Overwatch
generating
Star
money in the
Rail.
long term, and had become increasingly more irrelevant next to a live service business model.
Did I call this or what? Live service has become the biggest killer of creativity in the industry by far. Game development seems to have shifted towards being results-driven as opposed to fun-driven. I called this out in my video on live service games and why it's a graveyard for creativity, why live service business models throttle creativity, because every decision is now made with make more money, make the
I actually, like, I love live service games, and I am a big live service games fan. But I think that in terms of killing creativity, I think that he's right. And I think the same thing has happened with, like, movies and series. Like, how many movies, like, series of movies or series, it's like they're just making another one for no reason. Like, nobody asked for Zoolander 2. We didn't need that. Fast and the Furious 10. I did know you did.
Money. We get to really take the gloves off and do crazy things, like Junkrat can dual-wield grenade launchers, and we've had Mercy be able to area effect res their whole team at once at super long range through walls. It's been a ton of fun, kind of like mad scientists making all this stuff.
Yeah, well, not anymore, you're not.
If this is to be believed, yes, the reason the mode was canceled, money. Because they saw how much money Diablo Immortal was making, and they were continuing to pour resources and development time into this mode that probably would have kicked some serious ass, but money. But you need more money.
God. Oh, God, yeah. Ludacris said they're gonna keep making Fast and Furious because they make hundreds of millions of dollars, so why wouldn't they? Yep. That's about right.
Where's the money? Yeah, you like that? That feel good?
Even if Overwatch 2 didn't make $2 million a day, don't you think this big-ass PvE mode would draw in a bunch of players, new and old? And if they
I think that's one thing that Blizzard doesn't really do as much that they used to a lot, is that, like, Blizzard used to have really, really good games, and because they had really, really good games, people would forgive a fuck-up. They wouldn't really care. Like, Heroes of the Storm came out, oh, it wasn't good? Okay. Who cares? And, like, they even canceled, like, they canceled StarCraft Ghost. Nobody cared about that. Who gives a fuck? Because there were other good games. But it's like, you can't... Like, it's like Square Enix does it the right way, okay? They've got these garbage fucking cash grab NFT trash games that have gambling mechanics, and they fucking suck. But god damn it, Final Fantasy 16 is looking really, really good. So Square Enix is great. See? Because they know that you just have to win every once in a while, and that's all it needs to be. I believe Diablo 4 will bring in the money. Diablo 4 could be their Final Fantasy 16 or Final Fantasy 14. I don't know. I will say, and I've got to be honest, guys. Blizzard has been very receptive to feedback with Diablo 4.
Rack and ruin.
They enjoyed it, and they would spend more money on the game?
Don't be fooled. We'll see.
That's not how modern gaming
works.
But what do I know? All right, so I'm gonna put my headphones on, and we're gonna watch this video.
Tweeting about a roadmap, saying it's coming mid-May. It's been on my timeline a lot.
I do have an update. We're going to run through the roadmap today. We're going to talk about what's coming in future seasons. We're going to talk a bit about PvE.
This is the reason why they have the roadmap. It also coupled with this announcement that they're cutting PvE is specifically to soften the blow. In case you were wondering, it's a little PR tactic.
Well, so yeah, it's like they don't want to just. They don't want to just like come on and be like, yeah, guys, nothing's gonna happen. They want to say, guys, something different is going to happen. Of course.
We had a difficult choice to make. We could continue working on our original vision for Overwatch 2 without a definitive end date in sight,
5 times.
or change our strategy and get something in front of players sooner.
We could continue making the game that we fucking marketed, or we could say, screw it, and just put out the laziest possible product.
Yeah.
A pretty easy choice for old Blizzard.
We chose the latter, and we released Overwatch 2 last October with new heroes, new maps, new modes, and regular seasonal updates.
And also new glitches. A great new feature that removed Bastion and Mei from the game for, what, like a fucking month or 3 weeks?
It was like 3 weeks at the beginning of the game. Like, it was pretty bad, but I didn't like Mei, so I didn't complain about it that much. Yeah, I always thought that Mei sucked. Remember how she could freeze you in the first game? I hated that fucking shit. So annoying.
More than that, we shifted our values for how we want to develop the game.
You sure did shift your values by starting to charge people, what, $20 for skins? Charging them like 4 times what the skin was previously worth in the original game? What was that stat about, like, it would take you 700?
Like, I don't even, like, I'm gonna be real. I don't give a fuck about the skin prices. Like, I just care about the content, and I'm sad that we're not gonna get the content. Like, what do you think? I give a fuck. Like, you make a skin $100. Like, who gives a fuck to me? Like, it's like none of this shit matters. It's just fucking pay to win, look cool. Oh, wow, I'm a special boy because I gave the company $30. Who actually cares about this? But, like, we're not getting the game. Millionaire take? No, it's not a millionaire take. You think I have a bunch of these skins and it like, oh, look at my Overwatch. Like, I've played Fortnite since 2018. I've spent $0 on it. I've got no skins in any of these fucking games. You know why? Because I don't care.
112 years to get the amount of credits necessary to unlock all the cosmetics in the game without paying for them. It was some ridiculous stat like that. Yes, your values did shift. You became more greedy and you became a shittier company.
Yeah, and I really can't say enough about how much we've learned over the past 8 months or so. More importantly, we've taken that learning and put it back into the game. So as really as season 2, I think you start seeing some updates we've made based on your feedback and based on what we've learned. We've been changing all of our systems. We've been adjusting hero balance way more frequently.
And these are good changes, I'm not gonna lie. They have been making good changes to the PvP. I think it's been getting a lot better, and the game is still very much fun. I still enjoy it. I'd enjoy it more if there was a, big PvE mode, but that's just me.
But at the same time, development on the PvE experience.
I feel like Overwatch is a game that you play for like 8 hours.
Your master's bidding. Game's up. It's over. Busted.
Like, that's like my vibe of the game. Because like you play it a lot, and then like it doesn't really feel dynamic in the same way that like Warzone or like Fortnite feels dynamic to me. I don't know what it is. Yeah, fastest burnout game? Yeah, because it's just like you're just doing the same thing over and over.
It really hasn't made the progress that we would have hoped. The team has created a bunch of amazing content. So, there's awesome missions that are really exciting. There's brand new enemies that are super fun to fight, and some truly great and ridiculous hero talents. But unfortunately, the effort required to pull all of that together into a Blizzard quality experience that we can ship to you is huge. Yeah. And there really is no end in sight.
This is probably the most confusing thing to me out of all of this. There is no end date. The amount of effort it would take to create this mode that we advertised is massive. You
don't even know what it is.
Blizzard, you have 8,000 people working for your company. What do you mean? Yeah. You're the company that made World of fucking Warcraft and the Diablo series, both games world renowned for their progression systems and their talent trees.
And World of Warcraft just hired 100 people onto their team. Remember that? Whenever they acquired, I think it was like Spellbreak Studios or some shit like that. They acquired 100 fucking people, and it shows. Like, Warcraft gets content constantly.
and their deep customization, if
Proletariat
anybody
was
can
a
do
Proletariat?
this,
Yeah.
it's you.
They made Spellbreak.
What?
Okay.
What, did you just lose all your talent? Did you just stop caring? We don't have an end date in sight. Well, create one. Reel back those ambitions. You don't need hundreds of missions when the PvE mode comes out. You don't need expansive talent trees for every champion at launch.
Yeah, true.
Okay? Just give us something. Would it have been too hard to give us like 20 missions and like half the roster has their talent trees all set up? Yes. That would be too much.
But unfortunately, the effort...
Yeah, they could have given us half of them and then waited till the other half and called that Overwatch 3. Yeah, they really missed an opportunity here.
Required to pull all of that together into a Blizzard quality experience that we ship to you is huge.
I also love the statement Blizzard quality because Diablo Immortal exists. That's a Blizzard quality game, isn't it? Yes. Slot machine simulator. That's a Blizzard quality game. Overwatch 2 at launch was a Blizzard quality game. God damn it.
Do we continue to...
I think that Diablo Immortal didn't play that badly, but it just wasn't very good. Like, as a PC gamer, I just can't see a world where I would play this game regularly. The game is broken for me? Yeah, well, it's not even about it being pay to win. Like, I stopped playing Diablo Immortal because it was bad. I remember I did a boss fight, and I got hit by something that I wasn't in, and I just quit the game. Like, okay, this is stupid. Like, I don't want to play this. This is dumb. But other than that, like, the campaign and everything for Diablo Immortal was quite well designed. I mean, I guess for a phone game, it's good. I don't know. I don't play a lot of phone. I don't have any phone. The only phone game I have is Twitter, okay?
Pour all that effort into PvE, hoping that we can land it at some point in the future? Or do we stick with...
Yes.
With this set of values we've aligned on and focus on the live game and focus on serving all of you.
Also, focus on the live game. This is the crux here, okay? And it kind of falls in line with what Sir Swag said. A PvE mode it's not part of the live service necessarily. At least that's what I'm gathering.
What that means is that we won't be delivering that dedicated hero mode with talent trees, that long-term power progression. Those things just aren't in our plans anymore.
Fuck, that would... Oh, man. That would have been so awesome, dude. Because there are so few good co-op shooter games. Like, I always go back to Left 4 Dead 2. Back 4 Blood kind of sucked ass. Redfall has sucked ass. Maybe Borderlands, I could play that. But as far as, like, games you play with your buddies and you all, like, rank up and level up and continue to...
Yeah, people love this game, man. A lot of people want me to start playing this game.
Harder challenges, like that's why I love Vermintide 2. I still need to play Darktide, but I'm just, oh god damn, this would have been so awesome for Overwatch, and I would have played the shit out of this with my buddies, man. And instead, if I want to play Overwatch 2 with my buddies, I have to convince them to play the same mode in the same game that came out in like 2016. You know what I mean?
And
I just don't really see, like, I don't feel like a desire, like there's never a point where it's like, I need to play Overwatch right now. Like, I'm missing out. I need to start playing Overwatch.
I know that this is going to be disappointing to many of you.
You don't say!
Which is why we wanted to bring it up before we talked about the roadmap. And
this is why we brought it up before the roadmap, so we can
just get it out of the way.
We have something to soften the blow.
To be perfectly honest,
which is like, that's fine. Like, I think that's, you know, really, I mean, like, I think that it's just, in my perspective, the Overwatch thing, it's just sad, you know, like it's just, I don't know, it just sucks.
Rack and ruin.
I mean, I thought it was gonna be fun, and you know, like, I don't have like like, I think Blizzard did the best that they really could have done, announcing that it wasn't going to happen.
I condemn you.
But that doesn't make me feel any better about it not happening.
Vengeance will be mine.
Really
eye for an eye.
For many of us and a lot of folks on the team poured their heart and soul to that.
I also feel bad for the teams that essentially are having their work erased because of corporate greed and this continuous desire to always monetize the shit out of everything and focus on only that and not so much the quality of a video game or how expansive and innovative it can be. And like I said, man, live service games is where creativity goes to die.
We're planning to make co-op gameplay and co-op experiences just part of our live roadmap. So we want you to be able to experience it more often.
Just part of it. Well, this is what Overwatch has been doing the whole time. These little limited time events that people would only play for like an hour or two at most on some random weekend. It's, you know.
Yeah, I just there's never been an Overwatch event that's come out that's made me think, man, I'm missing out by not playing this.
It was fun, but we wanted a much more dedicated mode. This comes across as, yeah, we're just going to keep doing those same limited time events. Hardly exciting for me.
Let's bring up that roadmap that Jared was talking about, because Jared, there is a ton coming to Overwatch 2 soon.
And again, like I said, the roadmap looks pretty expansive. And I imagine most, if not all, of this content is going to be great, except maybe the Roadhog rework. I'm not sure how that's going to work out. But
maybe Roadhog will work.
You know, the PvE mode would have done so much good for this game and for its community, and it is such a shame. You also notice that they don't apologize to the fans. It's like, oh yeah, we're cutting this feature. Yeah, it's
the main thing about the game. But you know, listen, here's the other thing: is we have a new battle pass coming out. It's like, I get it, but man, it sucks.
It kind of sucks. We couldn't fit our vision. Anyways, look at all this other new content that we're working on. Forget about the PvE stuff you were looking forward to.
And it's
which again is the smartest thing for Blizzard to do.
Fedoras are awesome. Fedoras are awesome. Fedoras are awesome. Fedoras are awesome.
Starting off originally as a website known for fedora-wearing neckbeards, over time Reddit became the de facto forum for any subculture online. And within the depths of these subreddits were degenerate scammers that wanted to take your money. What if there was an island full of dedicated users of Reddit? It sounds like a utopia, at least it did to much of their user base. Talks of Reddit Island date as far back as 2010. The idea was simple: to populate a remote sanctuary with only Redditors. Given how expensive such a purchase would be, it may seem completely unfeasible. Yet hundreds of users were determined to make it a reality. The project was seen as a chance to create a society free from the plight of stupidity. This idyllic civilization would include weed farms, on-site data centers, and ecotourism. It was so enticing that it survived as prospects soared into the multi-millions. By 2012, the dream proved persistent enough to receive a profile on Gawker. Of course, that was before they realized the actual dollar amount was just the start of their troubles. Their sights were set on Current Island, located just off the coast of the Bahamas. This required careful navigation of their complex political climate. Mark Wells, the self-appointed leader, was unable to handle that responsibility. He would end up having to profusely apologize to get another phone call, only to be rejected once more. The author surmises, there are few places on Earth I could imagine wanting to spend time less than a remote island populated solely by hundreds of hardcore users of the social news site Reddit. Forget the island, dude, launch a startup. The effort failed for another 4 years before being abandoned. While one would expect this to mark the end, that shockingly couldn't be further from the truth. In fact, Reddit Island would pick up traction again over 5 years later. On April 30th, 2021, a post was made to our memes. If Redditors wanted to, they could join together and buy an island for a meme. The image received over 32,000 upvotes, sparking a site-wide trend. As discussions flooded popular communities, they eventually created a new subreddit called Reddit_Island. It amassed over 25,000 members across the span of 3 days. Now, most of that activity was in jest, evident by the spread of laughably bad suggestions. For example, listing the official language as Memeglish and declaring their allegiance to Keanu Reeves. There was even a push to rename it to Meme Island, in hopes of attracting Elon Musk. But in the midst of this ridicule were genuine attempts to organize. That culminated on May 25th, when the community was introduced to its savior. He came on a fresh account called Island Owner Alt. I've been reading about your attempts to buy either an island or town, and I think I might be able to help you guys out. I own a small island, about 120 acres, that my grandfather purchased about 40 years ago. As of right now, I only have a small cabin built on it, and it's been a dream of mine to build a community there for several years now. If you guys are willing to help fund any construction or legal costs, I'd be happy to help set up a self-sufficient society of Redditors there. Please DM me if you're interested, mods. Immediately, the stranger was given moderator status and labeled an official board member. The sub was jammed with people hailing him as a messiah. That heightened after he made a second post affirming it would happen. He revealed that it would be located off Cuba and outlined a variety of investments necessary for the project. If anyone would like to chip in with the costs, my PayPal is as follows. Any amount is much appreciated. Donors will have their usernames engraved on a plaque to commemorate their contributions. In total, the man received $700 in donations. Though his proposal was met with overwhelming support, there was reason for concern. He appeared reluctant to provide any specific information. This forced the community to craft plans off speculation alone. The most popular theory named the island Cayo Rabi Horcado. It was covered in trees which would have to be cut down. This became the foundation for a long list of issues that were to be addressed early on. Unfortunately for them, the plan would never get that far. Initially, the island owner was able to quell fears by posting beach photos to his profile. They were unique and didn't appear anywhere else online, but that was only a temporary relief. To ensure he was telling the truth, they demanded to see proof. This led him to post a copy of the deed. It was convincing enough on its face to garner hundreds of upvotes, yet upon scrutiny, several inconsistencies became apparent. The text was written in 2 languages, with the title in Spanish but the body in English. The latter was filled with spelling errors. The coordinates listed were off, leading to a random field in India. However, the smoking gun came from those familiar with the country's laws. He's asking for donations to PayPal, which is not approved for use in Cuba, so he's at least working with someone in the States. It is difficult to send money from the States to Cuba. It has to be done via Western Union and must be picked up by a Cuban national. Western Union is not working anymore in Cuba. This is a scam. To state the obvious, it was a mistake to accept the man with open arms. He used his newly appointed powers to silence criticism. Critics were forced to seek refuge in a new sub, which he then visited to defend himself. This lasted an entire day until the backlash finally caught the attention of mods. He was unceremoniously banned with the decision made known in a PSA. They called for anyone who donated to file chargebacks. The next day, a private exchange was posted by a donor. Is it true? Have we been fooled? Yep, you got scammed big time. Sick. Have an absolutely horrible day. While his scheme completely unraveled, it was clear the jig was up. Because of this, the swindler started mocking his victims openly. He wrote on the aforementioned bunker, "Thanks for your money, suckers." Following this, the account was suspended, with it being unclear if the funds were ever returned. Most have come to accept that he got away with it, completely unpunished. The controversy was quick to escape Reddit and go viral. It became the subject of a YouTube video that has amassed nearly 2 million views. This earned it a legacy as one of the site's most embarrassing moments. With that said, this still isn't the end of the story. A year later, one of the original planners returned after almost a decade. His name was Cryptodon, and he'd spent the past 5 years in prison. He claimed it was for trying to create a free society in the Republic of Honduras. Now that he was free, he intended to revive Reddit Island as a nation run on cryptocurrency. It was described as a libertarian approach, with bizarre plans to set up an oil rig. That discussion continues to this day, with later ideas including a television deal to provide residents a source of income. Even with official endorsements from the board, it's been met with mixed reception. There aren't many hopes left to dash, with the sub losing 8,000 members since the island owner incident. Though it's unclear if this effort is earnest, given its decade-long failure, most have come to view Reddit Island as a bygone dream. One of Reddit's most popular communities is Ask Me Anything, abbreviated as IAMA. While the most famous are celebrities, it allows anyone to take questions from the World Wide Web. That was the case on December 9th, 2016, when a user named Craftistic shared his story. The man explained that he'd recently been evicted and was now homeless. This left him stranded in the streets of Calgary, where the winter hit depths of -25 degrees. I have no family, so I'll likely be calling a shelter. I've been out searching for days for work. The sympathetic tale went viral as the thread was flooded with support. Those from the area offered food and clothing, while others sent upwards of $150 directly. They even
to their shrines. If you put Ember in your squad, alright, here we go. Took this one and just fly toward that map.
set up a GoFundMe which raised over $300. It was a rare display of generosity amongst strangers, so much so that the story made local headlines to celebrate goodwill amidst the holidays. But as you can guess, not everything was as it seemed. The first hint of this came after Craftistic declined a local job offer. His excuse was that he wanted to stay closer to his parents. An odd response given that he previously said he had
Rack and ruin.
Then they realized certain details didn't line up. In his original post, the man claimed to sleep outside and warm up in shops. That was contradicted in a comment where he spoke about moving out later that day. This meant he'd been homeless for less than 12 hours, casting doubt on his heartfelt answers about life. I appreciate the little things. A meal, a smile, and hugs. 3 weeks earlier, the man referenced having a roommate. They were so close that they discussed collecting adult films together. This, as well as his habitual use of drugs, were omitted from his recount. These disparities prove that he couldn't be taken at his word. But it wasn't long after that they found indisputable proof. Further digging revealed he'd been playing games and uploading videos at the exact same time as the AMA. This revelation spread rapidly. Those hurt by his betrayal spammed it across the comments section. Rather than address the outrage, Craftistic silently deleted the post. He then ghosted donors entirely. The only update they received came a month later to promote a new fundraiser. When asked about his absence, he made vague claims of harassment. It was a pitiful attempt at denial. Yet, due to the site's short attention span, most were quick to forget about the ordeal. The scheme went unnoticed at large as the fraudster got off scot-free. That is, at least, until the efforts of Just Insane 207. The Redditor donated after relating to his own experience in Calgary. The ruse enraged him enough to leave 30 replies on the original thread. While most would have given up there, he continued for months, going so far as to harass the man's family. I found his Facebook page, screenshotted his GoFundMe page, and sent it to about 20 of his friends, including what I think is his mommy and daddy. In February of 2017, Craftistic left a comment in an adult sub called Hot Chicks with Tattoos. Just Insane saw this as a chance to levy new accusations. Craftistic steals from innocent Redditors and is a pedophile. He's been lying, saying he's been homeless and staying in a shelter. He had some phony proof that he used to set up a GoFundMe to rip people off. To be clear, there appears to be no evidence the scammer abused minors. Regardless, it caused enough of a stir to be documented on drama subreddits. The sheer absurdity of this interaction led users to investigate further. Many came away feeling it was justified, having no sympathy for the con man. Others viewed it as an example of why these performative gestures were meaningless. I have no sympathy for people who get milked out of donations to a fake homeless guy on Reddit. There are lots of homeless people you could actually help by donating your time or money to a local organization. But no, you blindly gave your money to some stranger who, big surprise, turned out to be a liar. Though it brought fresh eyes on the situation, in the end, this too was fruitless. There was never any serious punishment for Craftistic, with his account remaining active to this very day. Random Acts of Christmas was created in 2011 to encourage the spirit of giving. It was built on the premise of writing to Santa for gifts. That role was filled by volunteers who helped make dreams come true. The event was a success, providing the less fortunate with gifts and necessities. It became an instant tradition with the achievement paraded across the platform. Naturally, it was set to be even bigger as the holidays approached a year later. The first attracted less than 1,000 people. That grew to over 3,000 in 2012. The exposure was a double-edged sword though. On the one hand, there was more love to share around. On the other, there was an increased likelihood for potential abuse. This takes us to a post from December 10th, 2012. It was written by Digman2, a single father from Texas named Kevin Rogers in real life. For the past 2 months, Kevin and his 7-year-old kid Jennifer were homeless. They lived at a shelter sharing a single family room. With hardly any belongings and no income, there was no chance of buying his daughter a gift. That is, until he got directed to the sub. His letter was so well written that it touched the hearts of thousands. It amassed over 1,400 upvotes as they struck out her Amazon wish list line by line. One user was generous enough to order 12 different items. Now already there were some red flags. The page lists over 50 products, which is strange for any child, nonetheless one in poverty. They also found a separate list on the account with books about exes, but it was only as they reached the bottom that suspicions truly arose. For every wish that was fulfilled, a new one was being added. This already was in poor taste, but those additions included several game consoles and gift cards in increments of 50. It rubbed people the wrong way, with some deciding to back out entirely. That's when they noticed a series of links buried at the bottom of the thread. You see, Kevin had used the same username,
Illusion shattered,
leading someone to recognize him. This led to a comment within the first 8 hours exposing his past. I feel bad for all the folks here on Reddit that don't know about Kevin's past. This guy is basically a total loser who has selfishly decided that he will take away any chance of a normal future for his daughter, so that he can use her as a charity point as he continually refuses any kind of opportunity at a real job. He is a deadbeat that considers eBay arbitrage and occasional price gouging of electronics a steady living suitable for raising a young daughter. The community in question was a gaming-related site called Shack News. While the user provides links, most are no longer available in full. Because of this, only a portion of the original context exists. The following is based on the remaining information to the best of our abilities. It all started in November of 2006, shortly after the release of the Wii. At the time, Kevin posted under the username Zigzag32. The Wii notoriously suffered a 3-year shortage due to the sheer level of demand. He decided to capitalize on this by purchasing several consoles to resell for a profit. This type of scalping is controversial and led him to face backlash on the forum. Kevin first defended his actions as harmless, yet as the hate continued, his defense slowly shifted towards his daughter. Yeah, I'm a douche because I sold some Wiis to buy my daughter Christmas presents. I needed money for myself. I've been living hand-to-mouth after she was born and got laid off before Christmas. This did little to stop the criticism, which continued well into February of 2008. It got to the point that Kevin kept a public list of enemies, subjecting himself to further mockery. After a nasty exchange, he abandoned the account, returning as Digman a few weeks later. It was under this alias that he vented more frequently about his personal woes, many of those centered around his domestic life. Jennifer was born in 2005. Her mother was described as a loser drunk who left when she was only 6 months old. This forced Kevin to raise the child alone. To make matters worse, that was while being a newly convicted felon. Kevin had been arrested 3 months prior for second-degree aggravated assault. I broke Jennifer's mom's jaw as she was trying to push her, strapped in a stroller, into 35-mile-per-hour traffic. I caught her as the front tire had crested the curb from the sidewalk. I was convicted on witness statements from 2 lesbians that were passing by and saw her bleeding. They followed us home and told the police.
I can put these
Needless
to
to
good
say,
use.
it was 100% bullshit, but the state runs with anything. He later claimed to have barely grazed her chin. Kevin was sentenced to 3 years probation, but found it difficult to find work. This ended up being the final push for him to become a full-time dad, staying with his parents and living off of savings. Those savings included a video game collection worth over $10 grand, which he peeled away from for money. It was comfortable, though the peace didn't last. He first ended up in legal trouble after his ex committed fraud. Her actions resulted in an investigation that prevented them from getting medical.
There is no escape.
Spring of 2009,
Transfigure it. Eye for an eye. Blood of frost.
Rack and ruin.
This led him to receive a new parole officer who hated him. By then, the money was becoming tight.
Quietly now. Here comes the catch.
Time down. Now you shall perish.
While this was received positively, that kindness eroded as more requests were made. Every time there was an explanation for why the issues in his life weren't his fault. It seemed unreasonable to led them to scrutinize his posts. For example, Kevin claimed to have quit smoking once Jennifer was born. But his Reddit journal quit activity in marijuana communities.
Remove all
even
obstacles.
giving advice on how to obtain it illegally. Back in the day, he claimed to have only sold 8 Wiis. In 2008, he gloated about making over $10,000 from his scheme. Not only that, but it may have been done through questionable means. He referenced being detained at several different Walmarts over the years. That was while attempting to sell vouchers and registration keys. Those reading between the lines have alleged he was opening software boxes to steal these codes. But without hard proof, this can only be chalked up to speculation. By now, it was clear that his words couldn't be taken at face value. Unfortunately, that leads to the most tragic aspect of the story, which is that his living situation was true. Kevin was evicted after a dispute with his mother in late 2010. Ever since, they were living in the Bay Area Homeless Services. The argument that he was a scammer wasn't from flat-out falsehoods, but an inability to take responsibility. For example, paying for a lap dance at a strip club while in financial ruin. This was acknowledged by a Shack moderator who commented on Reddit. He absolutely has a daughter, and I don't doubt for a second he's in that shelter. He just makes poor choice after poor choice and uses his daughter as a sob story. He's been begging and being a loser for over 10 years now. Nobody takes him seriously and nobody helps him on our site. It's like a train wreck, and unfortunately his little girl is going to suffer eventually. Kevin received so much backlash that Shack News briefly went offline due to the traffic. His thread reversed to the negatives as people canceled their gifts. This caused him to leave hundreds of comments explaining himself. His main defense was that he technically hadn't said anything untrue. That was while still insisting everything was someone else's fault. Shockingly, the biggest platform he received was the ABC News. They interviewed Kevin and confirmed he'd been homeless for 2 months.
My will embodied by ordinance divine.
Educational arts and crafts. In spite of this blatant lie, the
I condemn you.
That he was ultimately a good dad.
Freeze to the core. Rack and ruin.
Still have Merry Christmas efforts.
Illusion shattered.
At the very least, things worked out in the end for everyone.
These are about to get dicey. Take your true form.
Jennifer got to celebrate the holidays regardless of her father's actions. And thankfully, random acts of Christmas survived the controversy, continuing every year to
Adepti
this
treasures have special powers.
This kingdom cannot shelter you from your sin.
Reddit's most unique feature is that it allows anyone to create a community. The site hosts forums for all sorts of different hobbies and interests. That brings us to the San Pedro cactus. This cactus produces a psychedelic compound, making it popular among drug users. This has cultivated a market for different strains and hybrids. It's also sparked debate over its growth and potential medical use. Many of those took place on Reddit, where a community formed around the plant. That was the case for Reynolds 119113, who was active in the community for years. He'd been marked as a trusted vendor, a badge of honor for those looking to buy. This made it much more of a shock when the story unfolded the way it did on December 20th, 2022. That day, Reynolds posted about a purchase he felt didn't live up to expectations. It was supposed to be a specific hybrid valued at over $100. He claimed to have been sold the wrong strain. This was immediately seen as baseless, as he was objectively wrong. They ridiculed his poor identification skills, with one posting their own as an example. "It looks like mine. I wonder if it's off the same plant." This, by complete accident, would unravel his lies. In response, a user stepped forward to affirm he was right. It was the same plant. He ran a page called Connor's Cactus Corner and had sold to both of them. But that was only the beginning. Connor then alleged that OP had scammed him. Reynolds hastily denied this, replying with his own side of events. But that was while admitting he hadn't paid a dime. This dude isn't even explaining the story. This guy is a trick man. Never buy from sellers with no sale history. This guy didn't know how to wrap a package and ship this beautiful cut, and it showed up at my house with several black squishy spots. He said to keep the money, so I'm not sure why he's bitching about it. I was gonna send the cut back to him, but he said to just keep it. This explanation already didn't suffice, as people could tell nothing was wrong with the cactus, but it was decisively disproven with the release of their chat logs. The next day, Connor created a thread to warn the community. It includes screenshots of their entire conversation. The interaction began after Reynolds publicly expressed an interest in rare genetics. That's when he reached out, offering 10 inches for $100. Reynolds accepted, though he was wary to pay up front due to the lack of verification. He then assured the vendor that he'd never risk his reputation by committing fraud. The request was obliged, with the plant sent on December 10th. Yet Reynolds never finished his side of the bargain, always finding a reason not to. That continued even once the package arrived. You ain't out of the clear yet, bro. I'll send a picture of what's actually inside soon. This escalated to a confrontation that was cut short after he finally offered to pay. However, upon posting his info, Reynolds suddenly noticed yellow marks and squishy black rot. That was when Connor finally accepted his loss. Congratulations, man. You scammed someone out of a cactus. Just keep it, dude, and don't bother paying me anything. He was perfectly content to suffer in silence until the post, in which Reynolds had the audacity to show it off. The fact he'd take advantage of someone in such a close-knit community earned an aggressive response. He was banned as users poured in to insult him. Reynolds couldn't help but follow along, confronting some in private. You think you're all cool because some idiot made up some bullshit about me trying to scam him. I have 25 grand in my savings. What do I need his $100 for? The controversy reached a broader audience after being featured on subreddit drama. It received nearly 2,000 upvotes. This likely influenced Reynolds to contact the seller again, this time to issue threats. The cacti were apparently his main source of income, so being banned put his family at risk of starving. That apparently meant he was justified to drive to Connor's house for a, quote, little one-on-one chat. The situation became such a spectacle that the original threads were locked. However, those curious and other subs continued digging, only to discover the signs were always there. First, it was revealed that Reynolds had caused issues in the past. The 31-year-old was an open scalper who took pride in ripping people off. For example, he conveniently lost track of uncompleted orders after taking a break. But more important was the reason behind that break. He struggled with addiction and was hospitalized after abusing
this is
fentanyl.
what the world considers to be treasure.
This recontextualized his paranoia to perhaps be more understandable. However, it didn't excuse his actions and increasingly violent messages. He was now texting random people demanding to fight. Bro, I would literally pay to be able to meet up with you somewhere and punch you right in the mouth. This continued until he violated the site's terms of service, causing his entire account to be suspended. With that, the story comes to an abrupt end. Reynolds hasn't been seen since, with the initial scam never being resolved. The vulgar yet appropriately named A-Holes was a space to vent about rude behavior. Though it wasn't very popular, the sub attracted a number of regulars. That included Christian Tucker, who went by the username CHTucker18. The events we'll be discussing today start on November 5th, 2016, when the man decided to air out his frustration. Chris was quite the pervert, being an open fan of adult videos. He regularly spent money ordering custom content from his favorite girls. Things went awry, however, after commissioning actress Casey Warner. The fanatic claimed that she was attempting to scam him by lying about being paid. Her threats of legal action were apparently a defense to being caught. It may have been convincing if not for the immediate receipts. Hours later, a user responded to dispute his chain of events. They had documented his behavior for months, even submitted him to the very same subreddit. This allowed them to explain the situation in depth with screenshots. It all began 2 months earlier when Chris purchased a $350 video. The transaction went smoothly, until his card was purportedly stolen. All of the charges were subsequently reversed, causing Casey's PayPal to be shut down. Under the assumption it was a mistake, she waited patiently for the issue to be resolved. However, once a month passed with no substantial progress, she took the matter to Twitter. For people who keep asking, PayPal shut me down even though I was scammed, because I'm a sex worker, and I don't matter. This is the world we live in. Though not directly named, Chris outed himself by calling her a liar. He pointed to his record as a customer with a positive rating after hundreds of orders. That was undermined when she pointed out he'd done this to other women. His rebuttal was that he said sorry. I apologized to them and fixed it. You people never mention that side of the story. In response to being asked why the case still wasn't canceled, he gave excuses. That entailed being an unemployed student and blaming quote-unquote corporate America. He then claimed to no longer have the money even though it was refunded. None of these explanations made sense, only worsening the backlash. His remorse seemed to disappear as he berated her supporters. At one point, he even released the victim's personal info, which he had been sent by PayPal. But as the pressure mounted, he eventually gave in, promising to pay her back on November 3rd. Yet when the day came, Chris paid less than half of the amount owed. Upon confrontation, he once again played victim, claiming that college left him broke. But a quick glance at his profile revealed this to be a lie. He continued to send other girls money the entire time. Because of this, Casey finally began talking about suing. In light of this undeniable timeline, Chris switched to an alt reserved for bullies and harassers. He then accused the commenter of ableism. I am the victim. The 90% unemployment rate of autistic people proves that. We have a high homeless and poverty rate, but you and her believe that we don't want to work and want to be in poverty and homeless. Typical right-wingers. You don't know what it's like to be autistic, so shut the F up. This, of course, was ignoring just how much money he was spending. By his own estimate, he bought hundreds of custom videos. That meant at around $100 a pop, he'd spent about $10,000. The rebuttal was submitted to subreddit Drama, where it received almost 500 upvotes. This was, as it turns out, not his first appearance on the page. He was already known for a thread in May about his harassment. This was similarly sparked by a screenshot he submitted himself. It contains a private message sent to him by adult star Christiana Sim. She accused him of scamming and using psycho tactics before stating he shouldn't be allowed on social media. He'd been obsessively stalking her for months. Rather than acknowledge this, he called her an ableist bitch. No one took his side, so like clockwork, he used his diagnosis as a defense. When that didn't work, he sought refuge in a sub for Asperger's. He attempted to frame himself generously, asking if he was truly responsible for his actions. Every time I explain some of my bad behavior is because of autism, I get attacked saying that I'm responsible for my actions, which is slightly true, but there are some things I can't control. This too was rejected once the context was revealed. Let me guess, you're referring to the way you treated that porn star and outright harassed her. You can't blame that on your Asperger's, you know. To this, Chris replied, what's their excuse for taking advantage of a cognitively disabled man? He then created his own community, Call Out Ableists. It seemed that nothing could get the man to change his ways. He continued begging for Christiana to unblock him. That soon expanded to contacting her associates. He tweeted about going to the same events as her, and noting he was likely to be kicked out for false stalking and harassment charges. The cycle continued to the point that he was banned from one convention entirely. That was while various drama communities documented his continual harassment of women. He was seemingly ousted for good in mid-2017, when references to his behavior abruptly stopped. It's unclear what the final straw was, but if there was any explanation, it would likely be in his apology video to both Casey and the entire industry. One of the only comments is from a Chris Chan impersonator. You're an insult to real autistics like me. With the rapid advancement of consumer technology in recent years, the demand for drones has exploded. One of these developments is the ability to fly in the first person. Referred to as FPV, the drone is equipped with a camera that streams a live video feed. This allows the pilot to operate as if they were inside the aircraft. The immersion can be deepened even further with the use of specialized goggles. It's said that the gear provides a unique, breathtaking sensation of flight. This takes us to our FPV, where hobbyists gather to talk and resell equipment. On June 15, 2023, user 510GoShadow posted about one such exchange, which he described as a scam. Last year I met a guy in a local FPV group named Manny.
This
He had
is
a
what
bunch
the world
of gear for
considers
sale
to be
with
treasure.
not too unbelievable prices either, so I talked with him and came to a deal. I send the money and he sends the gear, but apparently he uses a stolen card to place the order and have it sent to me. He went as far as saying it's a gift and to not include any order slip in the packages, so I was completely clueless. I thought they came from him. By the time he learned it was fraudulent, 6 months had passed, and all the gear had been used. The revelation came after he received a notice threatening him with legal action. Presumably, the charges on the stolen cards bounced and the store came asking for money. He offered to send back the used gear, but they refused, demanding the amount in cash. Unsure of what to do, he spoke with several different lawyers. The latter all laughed it off, stating the store only had a case against Manny, who at this point was long gone. That didn't stop the merchant, who ended up suing him anyway. They lost, but even still, the man found himself pressured to pay them back. This is what brought him to the subreddit to ask for more advice. One of the lawyers told me not to entertain giving anything back because it can look like a sign of guilt. I wasn't going to pay them back anyways because I already was thinking the same, even though the store is great, and I feel really bad about the whole situation. Given the circumstances, many were quick to extend their sympathies as he appeared to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. But others were quick to notice how bizarre the entire story was. This was slightly recontextualized when he forfeited a detail missing from the original post. The store wasn't just asking for money, but accusing him of being part of the scam. While the exact amount wasn't disclosed yet, it had to have been quite substantial for this sort of response. That led some to cast doubt on the idea he was completely oblivious. You're trying to make us think that you thought brand new stuff that came in the package was used? You are full of shit, and I'm starting to believe this whole post is garbage. You spent $5K on used FPV gear? What the F is this post? No one is buying this shit. In his defense, he never claimed to have thought it was secondhand. However, his response only led to more questions than answers. I only bought $600 of new gear. It was advertised as new. Where did I say used? The guy who ordered it also ordered $4,400 to other addresses. But the FPV store is blaming me for it since my name was the only real name they got on all of the orders. Before long, the entire thread was in consensus that the man knowingly committed fraud. But if this wasn't definitive enough, a sleuth would end up uncovering his shady past. It turns out the user had been outed before on a Facebook group for newcomers to the hobby. He was identified as Sunny Singh Rai, with the post reading as follows: "Beware, this guy is a thief and will ask to borrow your stuff or flat out steal it. He has stolen thousands.
The
Do
assumption
yourself a
that every
favor and
person
avoid
has
him
somewhere
at
to
all
call
costs."
home is naive.
Then he brags in groups about
I
how
got used to
people
living in
gave
the
him
mountains
stuff.
alongside
Yet he
the birds
ignores
and
those
beasts a
people and
long
won't
time
respond
ago.
to a single message. Why? Because they want their stuff back, thief. The post was later edited to include more about his personal experience with Sunny. Sunny joined a group of my friends to go fly FPV. He came over to the house several times, went flying a few times, talked to him several days on the phone, etc, etc. While he's at the house, he takes the O3 Air unit and 2 HD Cinelogs and some batteries. Regardless of whether he picked them up on his own or was borrowing something, when he was contacted by several people to return the he ghosted everyone. So if you see Sunny and he wants to fly, watch out, he has sticky fingers. If he says he can help you fix something, he is actually trying to steal it. If he says he has a bunch of something, it's because he stole it. He is a wolf in sheep's clothing and will pretend to be a friend and then rob you blind and hide. After he robs you, then he will post your stolen stuff online saying, "Look at what my friend gave me." In light of this, Sunny was unable to provide a sufficeable explanation. He attempted to deny the man was him while claiming he'd been proven innocent. Needless to say, he wasn't able to fool them any longer. They noticed that other users began defending him from the third person, showing he had alt accounts. He then made it a point to brag about how he couldn't be banned because of his VPN. Even more evidence surfaced of him discussing the initial transaction a year ago and gloating about gear he received for free. Because of this, the man was eventually proclaimed the biggest scammer in the community. While he was adamant that he'd been declared innocent in court, this too was called into question. After all, it seemed odd to ask for legal advice if the matter was already settled. However, for now the truth in that regard remains unclear, with the FPV scammer seeming to face little punishment beyond public ridicule. While not nearly as advertised, Reddit has become a popular host for perversion. This has made the platform invaluable for sex workers looking to advertise their content. In that sense, Claudia was no different. The 19-year-old created her account in early 2023, where she quickly attracted a loyal audience. Her first post was to our faces, which garnered about 3,000 upvotes. That only continued as she posted increasingly lewd photos in subs like normal nudes, rate my boobs, and slutty confessions. They displayed her body with captions about various erotic acts. Unsurprisingly, the comments were filled with men fantasizing about using her. It was part of the business. Claudia often invited them to message her privately, where she promised nudes for a price. To many, her sheer beauty felt too good to be true. But this time, that suspicion wasn't entirely stemming from lust. It was on her very first post that one user would ruin the immersion. For those who aren't aware, I'm going to kill your fantasy. This is literally an AI creation. If you've worked with AI image models and made your own long enough, you can 10,000% tell. Sorry to ruin the surprise, I guess. You see, the entire account had been designed as a social experiment. It had been created by two computer science students inspired by a catfish story they read. They wondered how feasible such a stunt would be with AI. The account managed to evade scrutiny for 3 months before being conclusively outed. That was when the creators spoke anonymously to the Rolling Stone. They revealed that the images were made with Stable Diffusion, a program that uses prompts to generate images. In this case, the text was a woman in her house without makeup, with black hair, shoulder-length hair, simple background, straight hair, hair bangs. Though the account began as a joke, they quickly realized there was an actual market. They made $100 from privately selling her nudes. This, of course, opened the question over if it was ethical or false advertising. The students had kept it ambiguous, never explicitly stating Claudia was or wasn't AI. We don't really know how to think about this. The person buying the pictures is happy with their purchase since they are looking for porn. We never really said those are pictures of a real person, and the buyer never really asked. They just assumed. Though the effort was short-lived, the fact it was so successful with such minimal effort is indicative of the future. There will undeniably be copycats that blur the line as technology improves. Is it inherently dishonest to sell synthetic nudes? Well, Claudia was caught, so what if it gets to the point that no one can tell? Claudia is the first of what may be the next evolution of catfishing. Until then, all that can be left is to speculate, with most reluctant to consider her naked images a scam. I think the moral of the story is that you probably shouldn't trust anyone on the internet. And if you hold that advice true, you will probably not get your Reddit gold stolen from you. So until next time, thanks for watching.
Here we go.
And the camera was that was amazing. That was one of the better things I've ever heard.
Explode them? No.
Hey!
Hi, what's going on here?
Nothing. You didn't cut out that part.
Why are you sitting on the floor of the set?
Teleporting to...
That didn't seem super weird to me, I guess. Like, I didn't...
If you grew up watching Nickelodeon,
yeah, I don't...
chance you heard stories about the infamous Dan Schneider. Dan got his start in the entertainment industry in the 80s. After attending Harvard for just 1 semester, he moved back home to Memphis to work on computers.
Go ahead and talk to Jerry. I'm sure he's gonna have some super intelligent things to say. Really, really witty. Go, Jerry. There's no way that's true.
I went to Harvard. Harvard. Not really.
This was ultimately short-lived, and he would abandon his job with the goal of making it big in Hollywood. He packed up his bags and moved to Los Angeles, California.
So he did what streamers do and YouTubers do. All right. Okay. You can see this.
jumpstart his acting career. Dan Schneider starred in movies such as Better Off Dead, The Big Picture, and Hot Resort. And although the movies may have performed well in the box office, it was apparent that the big screen was not his medium. His portrayal as Dennis Blunden in ABC's Head of the Class would bring clarity to Dan Schneider. He was going to dominate television. Instead of acting, Dan began to write, produce, and create shows such as All That, Kenan and Kel, The Amanda Show, Zoe 101, Victorious, Drake and Josh, and Sam and Cat. He's quoted as the most successful writer and TV executive in children's entertainment television for the last 30 years. In the history of self-reports, Dan Schneider has to be leading the charge. A full-grown man has plastered his entire career with his foot fetish. Dan Schneider has deleted over 14,000 tweets. That included the words child, foot, and toes. Almost all of Dan Schneider's shows include aspects of physical comedy, including feet. After all, feet are funny. They're silly. Doesn't everyone just love feet? No. Dan Schneider and feet are inseparable. One simply cannot exist without the other. In fact, entire meme compilations have been made about his foot fetish. There is a dark cloud of silence surrounding Nickelodeon's past horrors. In the late 90s and early 2000s, Nickelodeon's dialogue coach Brian Peck and Dan Schneider hosted scouting events for new talent. These events would include taking your shoes off and participating in camp-like activities such as tennis or swimming. Revenge of the Cis podcast has been relentlessly investigating Dan Schneider over the years. And according to an anonymous child actor who attended one of these scouting calls, parents were separated from children to attend a seminar in order to meet agents, while the kids were scouted at the pool. And these kids were aged 13 to 22.
He's like, you gotta just take off your shoes, just like run around in front of the camera, you know, talk about how much you love being barefoot. And at the time, even, you know, it was like, okay, that's weird, but I didn't think anything of it because I was still young.
Right.
So what would happen is that your parents would
Because that's the thing, yeah, because people don't even realize it's a...
send
what
you
the fuck?
to sort of like this camp. It was basic acting classes, and it was an opportunity for the kids to get discovered. And interestingly enough, most of the kids got discovered by the pool.
Brian Peck was later charged with 11 accounts of sexual assault with a minor named John Doe in court
11? Holy shit!
Documents. Although the identity of the 15-year-old minor has never been confirmed, in fear that it would damage the young star's career, speculations on the internet have swirled around since this case. According to yet another anonymous source, the minor at the time was allegedly Drake Bell. It is impossible to ever know if this is true or not, but the internet seems convinced. Brian Peck was convicted in 2004 and served 16 months in prison. After his release,
so this isn't like some sort of weird, like, put together the pieces online thing. This fucking was like the law and shit. This actual like court documents, like what the fuck? Like I didn't even think about this at all. That's scary. This is real as it gets, yeah.
Never allowed to work near children ever again. Right?
Probably a good
no,
idea.
Disney hired him to work on Sweet Life of Zack and Cody.
Oh my god.
And you're watching Disney Channel.
You have to teleport to this point.
An article from the LA Times in 2002 named Groomed to Be All That details how child actors were media trained and prepped on how to deal with their unordinary life by Nickelodeon. They would carry pamphlets and attend workshops so they knew how to deal with news outlets, reporters, and fans. It highlights Nickelodeon's awareness of the dystopian work environment these kids were thrown into, oftentimes thrust into the spotlight by adults who don't have their best interest in mind. But let's talk about problems that we can avoid, which is why today's video is sponsored by Keeps. Keeps is a subscription service that helps men keep their hair. They offer clinically proven treatments that help combat the symptoms of hair loss. Delivered right to your doorstep. You don't even have to leave your house. Best of all, Keeps treatment plans are affordable, typically half the cost of pharmacy prices. With Keeps, you can get quality, expert care without ever visiting a doctor's office or...
It's not a targeted ad, guys. Like, he got a sponsorship. It's not targeted. It's just there. It's just a coincidence.
You're also getting 24/7 care and support.
Come on.
Each treatment plan comes with a full year of unlimited messaging, so you can connect with your prescribing doctor about anything, anytime. 2 out of 3 guys will experience hair loss before the age of 35, but don't worry, Keeps has you covered. In addition to clinically proven treatments, Keeps has an award-winning all-natural thickening shampoo and conditioner system. Keeps physicians will help you select the right products and treatments for your specific condition and hair goals.
I bet they
hair
will.
Loss stops with Keeps. To get 50% off your first order, go to keeps.com/Philion or click the link in the description. That's KEEPS.com/Philion. And thank you to Keeps for sponsoring this video. Under Dan Schneider's writing and girls were overtly sexualized time and time again. The footage is haunting and disgusting, and by today's standards, it's almost ancient. The dichotomy of growing up watching Nickelodeon and reviewing this footage is eerie. It includes gratifying his obvious foot fetish, along with adult references that a child or young adult should not have to perform. Considering the power dynamic of an executive producer and actor. Remember, this is pre-Me Too, when the culture surrounding predation and Hollywood was even more secretive. All this to say that social media campaigns or exposés would have fizzled out or would have been dealt with, if you catch my drift. In 2010, Nickelodeon hosted a website called The Slap, where actors from their most popular shows would post and interact with the media hosted on the site. Now, it redirects to Nick.com after Dan Schneider left Nickelodeon in 2018. One of the most disturbing pieces of content featured on The Slap was Ariana Grande or Cat Valentine from Sam and Cat being forced to perform vile acts that only a dimensional
My will embodied.
So now, just for fun, I'm going to say these sentences that I bet not one person has ever said before. Sentence number 1. Oh man, the uvula got stuck between the hamster's toes.
Cryo incarnate.
Never happened. But your uvula is that skinny thing.
I condemn you. Vengeance will be mine. Rack and ruin.
What? Somebody bring me the ocean.
Inazuma shines eternal.
Because if you were so wet and you were upset about it, the last thing you want is
what the fuck?
the ocean is even more
Transcend all constraints. There is no escape.
Get your whole big toe in your mouth.
Take your truth form.
This out.
I could not do that. Like, I straight up could not do that.
I wonder